Good day, class. This is Miss Delatore, and at this point, we're going to talk about why does the future not need us? So, have you ever thought about this? Like, how would the future look like if we are all replaced by robots? Di ba siya unlikely mangyari? Well, of course, considering the current advancement right now, we can say that that most probably is something that is quite near to happen, right? What will happen if we allow modern technology to take over our roles in the society? What can possibly be the cause of human extinction? So let's deal with these questions in this particular lecture. This lesson aims to trace the different stages of technological history on Earth, discuss human displacement possibilities due to technological advancement, and explain how technology leads human beings to extinction. I would like to emphasize that this is happening because of our aggressiveness when it comes to developing technologies in different fields. Examples of those are education system technology, information technology, home technology, personal technology, industrial technology, and even healthcare technology. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabi na mali or hindi tama that we pursue such, but in our pursuit, no, to develop and improve in this particular areas, somehow nako-compromise naman yung other areas as well of our lives. So let's try to focus deeper, okay, into this particular context. So with human and the environment, like what I mentioned in the previous slide, as us human beings become more aggressive in developing technologies, ang nangyayari, these developments have caused adverse effects on the environment that can potentially lead to human extinction. Okay? Ano nga ba yung mga examples of those actions that we do in relation to technological advancement that compromises our environment? That includes the use of plastics that obviously leads to pollution, the use of nuclear weapons, which obviously encourages nuclear war and contamination, the emerging industrial technology that also contributes to global warming and climate change, and as well as the conversion of agricultural lands and forests into residential lands, which leads into the habitat destruction of organisms. And if you are going to analyze this particular slide, no, sabi dito, too much desire for automation may eventually lead into this. So, kung makikita nyo yung arrows, ano yung nakikita natin dito, no? Parang baliktad na ata. Imbes na robots, or I'm sorry, in this particular picture, no, makikita natin na pinapalitan na, nagiging dispensable na yung mga tao as if we are now useless because somewhere in the future, in the near future rather, malaki yung chance na i-displace na tayo because, you know, robots as products of technological advancement are way better, no, making or rendering us useless when it comes to typical activities and tasks that we usually do. Okay? So, malaki ba yung chance that ma-remove yung mga roles natin sa society because of technology in the future? Yes. Okay. And bakit? Paano tayo abot sa ganitong like scenario? Again, that is because of our too much desire for technological, for us to have a technological world and for automating things. Okay. Now, let's try to talk about the four stages of technology according to Skulls so that we can have a bigger picture of like how did we came or how did we reach this particular point. Let's start with the proto-technology, which I believe na i-discuss ko na rin naman during our first lesson, no, yung sa historical antecedent of science and technology. So, from the prefix proto, ibig sabihin ay first. So, obviously, this is the period or the time while when people use stone tools. So, ito yung prehistoric age. Yung Stone Age, that is again divided into three: the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and the Neolithic period. So, obviously, in this particular period, lagi nyo lang tandaan, pag proto-technology, this is the Stone Age. This is when we haven't used advanced technological tools aside from yung mga stone tools, okay, na ginamit ng mga prehistoric human beings, followed by what we call as the classical technology period. Ito naman yung period where it concentrates on the rise of agricultural technology. So, na-discuss ko na rin yan doon sa ating historical antecedents. So, dahil nga our tools evolved through time, we already learn how to domesticate plants and animals for own consumption, and we're able to practice agriculture. So, ang mas na-develop sa atin dito is the agricultural technology. Hindi na nomadic yung civilization during this time. And we get to establish communities and cities already to continue the survival of our civilization. Okay? Um, this is also primarily dominated by the act of supplying means for some pre-existing ends. So natuto na nga tayong somehow mas maging sustainable dito, no? Hindi na tayo naggagala sa iba't ibang area just to look for resources. We are already capable of producing our own resource for our own consumption. And then afterwards, after classical technology comes the modern technology. So ito na yung like sa 21st century. This is fueled by science concepts and principles which date back around 500 years ago. Pwede natin i-associate dito yung like after industrial revolution, the intellectual revolution, 18th to 19th century scientific principles and advancements. So yan yun. Okay? Different fields, okay, in science, and in social science in general has experienced notable changes in this one or improvement, and that includes in the field of education. Dito pumasok yung we're already using blackboards and whiteboards. We are using cell phones and tablets where ebooks are already available, and we're using charts for visuals. So those are some notable things in the field of education during this time. With respect to science, of course, because of the use of the microscope, we get to see and explore the world of microorganisms and other types of organisms. So, of course, that opened another venue, no, that has further enriched our knowledge when it comes to scientific advancement. And when it comes to travel naman, this is the time where airplanes are already used. So traveling is faster and more convenient. Um, yeah, to travel from one place to another. Okay, and then the second to the last is actually the postmodern technology period. Okay, this is where we are replacing naturally occurring products with technologically developed ones. Okay, though the setback or the bad parts of this particular advancement is that some of them are highly toxic. So example is yung paggamit natin ng petroleum and its derivatives. Okay, unfortunately, if it's not properly managed, it has direct toxic impact or effect in the environment. Other examples of technological products that are very beneficial but at the same time highly dangerous to our environment includes yung mga gasoline-powered automobiles like jet engines, synthetic fertilizers, yung mga plastics, yung PVC or polyvinyl chloride, PCBs or polychlorobiphenyl, CFCs or chlorofluorocarbons, and nylon. Okay, so with this particular technological products, again, okay, dahil nga po natuto na tayong palitan yung mga naturally occurring products ng of better quality and more efficient technological outputs, mas napadali, no? Mas napadali, mas naging convenient ang buhay, mas naging advanced ang ating society, but at the expense of what? Of our environment. So, katulad nung sa case nga ng mga synthetic fertilizer, later on, I have a specific slide that's going to elaborate its negative effects, but this can definitely harm the soil. And with plastics, there's another slide dedicated for this particular one, but we all know they are non-degradable or non-biodegradable rather, and they accumulate in different areas, and it will take thousands of years before a single plastic can be uh, decomposed, right? Synthetic detergents, bleach, and insecticides, they're very, very helpful in certain fields, but at the same time, they linger for many years in the environment. And lalong-lalo na mas delikado pa kapag nakapunta sila saan? Sa mga bodies of water. Okay? Bodies of water and even soil. With modern technology, yung approach ng tao naging ganito na eh. No? Um, it treats everything as a resource. Halimbawa, forest. No, forest looks as if it's a timber resource. No, to ay kung saan natin makukuha itong mga timber related resources that we can use for economic advantage. And human being is now considered as a human resource as well. No, so at the end of the day, it's like a big business thing. Okay, it's either you're a consumer or supply in the facilities. And according to Heidegger, independent force in human existence which builds new and incompatible order on top of what was there. Parang it's as if at the end of the day, we're just putting one resource after another, and it's unending. It's never ending. And is that good? Well, that depends on you. Now, let's try to talk about the tendency of human beings to become extinct because of our own doings. Okay? Ganito lang naman yan. Okay? Human beings can get extinct in two ways. Una, it's either gradually or suddenly. Okay? Gradually, syempre, in what way? Following the usual course of life. Okay, at the end of the day, through old age, no? Sabi nga nila, habang tumatanda tayo, as we grow older, as we celebrate one birthday after another, we are dying. No, in a biological standpoint, every day we are dying. Every day we are going near our death day, and we cannot stop it because that's the natural course of life. Okay? No, I'm not like trying to be stoic or whatnot. No, pero that's like the the real thing. No, real talk kumbaga. Or suddenly, no, ma'am, paano yung suddenly? Okay. Human beings can disappear if for example, through natural phenomena, no? Katulad nung mga nakarang extinction, 'di ba? That marked the history of our planet. Okay? Sabi nga nila, 'di ba, one of the proposed theory bakit nawala or nag-extinct yung mga dinosaurs or karamihan ng mga dinosaurs is um because of what do you call this one? Yung meteor, 'di ba? That the asteroid rather that hit the Earth's surface, causing like a progression of natural disaster. So that is something na pwede rin naman talaga or viable explanation for that, because natural phenomena really do affect living organisms. Okay, but um, we can also be the main reason why we can either gradually or suddenly get extinct. Okay, ma'am, in what way? Okay, if we continue to practice and this like priority of technological development and advancement without considering the negative effect of it sa ating environment, okay, anong mangyayari? Okay, unti-unting mawawala o magdi-disappear yung ecological niche natin na tinatawag, because there is an abrupt change in what doon sa waste natin that affects our ecosystem. Eh, ma'am, ano nga ba yung ecological niche na tinatawag, no? If you're to define it, it's actually like our role, no? It's our position. It's the position or role of a species within an ecosystem. Okay, it describes both the range of conditions necessary for the persistence of the species and its ecological role in the ecosystem. Simply put, no, kunwari ikaw ay bunso sa pamilya ninyo, yung niche mo sa family ninyo, okay, is pagiging bunso. So, ano yung role ng pagiging bunso? Malamang sumunod sa mga nakakatandang kapatid. And usually, pwedeng ikaw din yung runner, no? Runner ng ate mo or ng kuya mo and stuff like that. Malamang ikaw din yung tagapagmana ng mga pinaglumaan, no? Ng mga damit or whatnot, or gamit. No? So, those are some like examples, no? Pero going back, lahat tayo may role sa isang environment. Kung ang environment or ecosystem na ang focus natin is yung sa school, sa university. So your role is maging estudyante, and other what are the things that comes with it. So those are like the responsibilities expected of you to follow, no? Now going back here, those are going to be affected. Okay, maaapektuhan yung niche natin or yung role natin sa isang environment if we won't be able to manage properly our environment itself. Okay, no? So what will happen further? Okay, these abrupt changes in the ecosystem because of our mindless hunger for technological advancement can what can technically disrupt abruptly yung ating ecosystem. And para saan? Ano bang main goal natin? Economic gains, right? Pero yun nga, at the expense of what? Of our environment. Ano magiging silbi ng economic gains natin if unti-unti nawawala or nasisira din yung ating mismong tirahan? Okay, so some other examples of sudden extinction scenarios na pwede natin i-take note of is like, for example, yung mga unprecedented volcanic eruptions, no? Major earthquakes, tsunamis, possible collision of asteroids or comets, and pandemic. Okay, so katulad nga nung previous global pandemic na na-experience natin, obviously, okay, that can definitely cause sudden extinction among certain species as well. It is also known that with modern technology, okay, we have neglected some of the roles of the ecosystem in the human survival. Parang medyo naging abusive na tayo. Okay? And we should always consider and understand whether its implementation will pose a threat to human survival or not. So the upcoming slides I'm going to show you include some modern technological advancement and their impacts and possible threats to extinction. So what are you seeing right now is a slide, no, showing an industrialized area, obviously, pero ano yung nakikita natin at the center? Okay, ayan. I believe na-mention ko na rin to, no, nung ng first topic natin last time, right? Na during the Industrial Revolution, it is also the period where um, global warming has been very, very what prevalent. Okay, it has definitely contribute a lot when it comes to the carbon emissions because of the because of the factories, okay, and the manufacturing fields, okay. And what comes after such? Obviously, yung ozone layer depletion natin because of these CFCs known as chlorofluorocarbons. Technically kasi, chlorofluorocarbons are considered to be safe for use. Kaya nga yun yung ginagamit natin commonly saan, no? Makikita tong mga to sa mga aerosol sprays, mga air conditioners, refrigerators, uh, aircon, sa car, pesticides, fire extinguishers, propellants, solvents, and even flame retardants. No, we are using it because again, it's safe for us human beings. But is it safe to our environment? No. Okay. Ang ozone layer natin ay made up of ozone, and ozone's chemical formula is O3 or tatlong atoms ng oxygen pinagsama-sama or bonded all together. So they're the ones that protects our planet. Now, when CFCs gets into our atmosphere, ang nangyayari ay yung molecule niya, it binds with oxygen. Pero before it can bind to it, 'di ba nga yung ozone molecule is three oxygen atoms. Sinisira niya yung mga bonds nun. So yung tatlo, naghiwa-hiwalay na sila. So pag naghiwa-hiwalay na sila dahil nasira na yung mga bonds nila at didikit na doon yung CFCs. In that particular process, nawawala na yung ozone molecule natin. And dahil nawawala na sila or nasisira, wala nang bumubuo dun sa ozone layer natin. So, ano nangyayari? Nadideplete siya. That's how like technically it's being depleted, resulting into what? More carbon dioxide being trapped within our um atmosphere, leading to global warming. And again, class, no, global warming is a natural phenomena. It is something that technically happens, and it shouldn't be negative eh. Kung walang global warming actually, stuck pa rin dapat tayo saan? Sa ice age right now. But since nangyayari siya normally, okay, because of carbon, oxygen cycle, and other biogeochemical cycles, well, we're saved from ice age. But what makes it dangerous is because of the drastic increase in the global temperature. Okay? Lalong-lalo na right now, 'di ba? We get to experience El Nino, and it's according to scientists' latest label. Okay? It is known na hindi na lang global warming. It is no longer global warming yung term na ginagamit. The more appropriate term is global boiling. No? So, halata naman, no, na global boiling na halos lahat ata sa atin ay apektado. no? But going back, I don't think I need to further explain this particular one because it is something that we're directly experiencing right now. Okay? So, anong ginawa nating solution with ozone depletion and CFCs? Knowing na ang dami palang mga products na na made up of CFCs. That is where the Montreal Protocol is um, created. Okay, and Montreal Protocol is actually known to be the um, very first law, if I may say, that has been agreed upon by almost all countries on Earth. Okay, and to cut it short, Montreal Protocol banned the use of CFCs, especially all throughout different nations in the planet that will use products, no, that is originally made up of CFCs. So with this effort, they assume and expect that our ozone layer will recover in the year 2050 by the fully banning, my word ba na banning of CFCs. Okay? That's it. Pero, ang concern lang natin dyan is that, if I'm not mistaken, actually, yan, I've included this particular YouTube video, okay, entitled, Whatever Happened to the Hole in the Ozone Layer, okay. It's a TEDx, TED-Ed, okay, video discussing what really happens. Actually, Montreal Protocol is also discussed in there. I suggest that you watch it because this is also going to tell us na, okay, naban nga ang CFCs. Kaso, meron pa ring mga pinalit na bago. Kasi makulit tayo eh. So, kung ban ng isa, kailangan natin palitan ng iba pa, which still has the same effect. So, yun nga. I mean, the idea or the goal of Montreal Protocol and its expected outcome in the year 2050 is very difficult to ascertain if it's possible to really achieve by that time. So, what are some of the direct effects of global warming and climate change? Of course, alam na natin yan. Sa case natin sa Pilipinas, dahil tayo ay archipelago at tayo ay malapit sa equator at tayo ay nasa Pacific Ocean, we are geographically blessed to experience lots of tropical depressions, cyclones, and typhoons. Some of the notable ones in the 21st century includes yung Bagyong Pablo ng 2012, Bagyong Yolanda ng 2013. So the slides you're seeing right now are some of the direct slides I've got from the internet showing the aftermath of these typhoons. Pero ang pinaka hindi ko makakalimutan so far is yung Ondoy. Oo, yun, Ondoy. Kasi personally, though hindi naman like nasira yung bahay namin sa Ondoy, pero sa pagkakatanda ko, yan yung bagyo na literal na pagtingin ko sa labas ng bahay namin, nakikita kong may mga lumilipad na yero, legit. Yung lumilipad na mga bubong. So, that's how intense it is. And I can attest as well to the fact that as time goes by, mas lalong lumalala yung level and yung intensity ng mga tropical cyclones here in the Philippines. Okay? Um, During my time, which is not so long ago, okay, madalas na suspend ang klase because of typhoons. Okay? Pero I doubt no na nowadays that is going to happen kasi meron na nga tayong blended learning na tinatawag and online learning unless magkakaroon ng um, pangmalakasang brownout. So, or power shortage. So that's one thing. So I'm not going to delve deeper into climate change anymore, but just some additional facts as well related to it is that climate scientists have predicted and projected that at an average of increase, an average increase of 2 degrees Celsius would be felt by 2050. So parang wala pang 2050, ramdam na natin to. What if 2050, tas sabi ito nga yung projection, no? So, ay, hindi ko na lang din alam kung masaya pa bang magstay sa Pilipinas dahil like as of the moment may pre-trial na tayo of you know what I mean already. Anyways, and what will happen if that's the case? No, this is going to cause drastic weather and climate phenomenon across the regions of the globe. Bakit nga ba nangyayari ito? That is because still up until today, we are a fan of what? Fossil fuel. Okay. I hope everyone is quite familiar with biofuels because they're kind of more sustainable, and siguro wake up call na rin yung nangyayari right now, no? To go more sustainably when it comes to the sources of our energy, because fossil fuel is actually one of the primary sources of greenhouse gases as well once they are burnt, okay, or combusted. Aside from climate change, yung sinasabi kong alternative fuels, alternative source of energy. You can actually watch it here in this particular YouTube video. I have included this one as well sa LMS natin. So please try to uh, watch that. And let's go into the next technological advancement, which is very beneficial but at the same time poses risk of human extinction. So, obviously, kapag sinabi nating human extinction, malamang isa sa mga papasok sa ating isip ay ang Oppenheimer, right? But aside from Oppenheimer actually, malamang marami sa inyo ang nanonood ng Netflix, no? I suggest you try to watch yung movie or documentary related sa Chernobyl, the nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Okay? Um for for just like the general information, no. Ano nga ba yung nangyari dito sa Chernobyl nuclear power plant? Una sa lahat, ano ba yung nuclear power plant? Okay. These are power plants that has nuclear reactors. And maraming gamit yan sa iba't ibang industry. Okay, but the main thing is that they are acting as source of energy. Okay, kasi if you're familiar with the science of nuclear fission and fusion, okay, kumbaga it's capable of creating very, very large amount of energy with very, very small or little resources. So if you're going to look at it, it's very efficient, no? But the thing is that it's highly dangerous as well if it's not managed properly, because we're talking about what? We're talking about nuclear, highly reactive, radioactive atoms, particles, okay, that acts as sources of energy. Now, kapag nagkaroon ng malfunction, anong mangyayari? Yung environment will experience a direct impact. Okay, like what happens at Chernobyl. It is known, lalo na dun sa napanood kong mga documentaries related to this one, and palabas na din sa Netflix. Nakalimutan ko lang yung title niya pero it's related to Chernobyl as well. It's known after few after investigations na yung pagkasira, nagkaroon ng nuclear fallout dito sa ano 'to, nuclear reactors 'no, sa Chernobyl. And ano nangyari, nagkaroon ng nuclear leak. And dahil nga ito ay nuclear reactors, highly radioactive yung ating nuclear reactors. So, ang nangyari po is naging radioactive na po yung buong lugar. If I'm not mistaken, Chernobyl is like a place in Ukraine. No? So, right now, it is believed na up until today, highly radioactive pa rin lahat ng mga nandoon na gamit. Okay? Lahat ng in contact. And it is due to human error and technical lapses that has caused that particular nuclear fallout. Because of such, thousands are actually left exposed to harmful radiation. It is said as well na ultimo yung hangin within this area of Chernobyl during the nuclear fallout has been affected and contaminated. Okay? To the point na yung mga nearby areas sa Chernobyl naapektuhan na din ng nuclear fallout at na-expose ang mga tao sa radiation. Okay? Ano yung mga implications? So, nagkaroon tayo ng around 7,000 cases of thyroid cancer among people below 18 years old dun sa area na yun. And ito hindi ko naman kapanahunan 'no, pero nai-share lang din 'to sa akin ng nanay ko. Ito kasi if I'm not mistaken nangyari 'to 1986. So 1980s, uso niyan yung tinatawag na pen pal. 'Pag sinabing pen pal kumbaga in layman's term, textmate. Pero dahil wala pang cellphone or 'di pa uso yung text, snail mail, yung sulat lang sa true letters. Kaya nauso yung pen pal between Europeans, specifically in this area sa Ukraine, and mga Asians is because their government encouraged them to look for partners na taga-East. Kasi Ukraine is sa West, sa Europe. So, they are advised to look for partners na Asyano. Okay? Ma'am, bakit? Kasi, di ba nga sabi ko nga, yung hangin na apektuhan, na contaminate na rin. So, the adjacent areas dun sa Ukraine, naapektuhan na rin. Kumbaga, na-contaminate na rin sila. You have to look for a partner that is not exposed to radiation to somehow cut off, no? Gawing 50% lang yung chance of what? Your offspring or yung mga magiging anak nyo na magkaroon ng, alin? Ng sakit. Hereditary. Kasi, ayun nga, dahil nga radioactive contaminated ka na, ibig sabihin, na-expose ka na sa radiation. So, yung malaki yung chance na nag-mutate na yung DNA mo and kapag nagkaroon ka ng anak, malaki yung chance na mutated yung genes na maipapasa mo sa kanya, which could be faulty and can lead to genetically related diseases na mapapasa from one generation to another. Kaya it's very, very dangerous. No? Kasi generations yung maapektuhan kahit hindi na-expose yung anak mo, pero dahil nakapagpasa ka ng faulty genes because of this, no? Because of being exposed to radiation, madadamay siya. Kaya nauso yun. Maraming Europeans na nagkaroon ng asawa na mga Asians kasi they are highly suggested to pair with them to lessen or to cut off the risk of having children with defects, genetic defects. Ayan po siya. Okay? Um, kaya nga 'di ba, pagkabuntis ang babae, hindi rin pwedeng X-ray kasi nga X-ray is ionizing. So it's radioactive. It can penetrate not just simply the the bones, but at the same time, yung cell enrich the DNA, causing mutation. Okay? So, aside from the Chernobyl incident, alam kong ang pinaka-common, no, baka nga ito yung una sa mga naisip nyo when it comes to nuclear war and nuclear contamination, yung sa Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, so kung napanood nyo na nga rin ang Oppenheimer, most probably you're quite familiar with this. So, ito naman, intentionally, no, na um, binomba ang Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it happened during the World War II on August 6, 1945. Obviously, it has caused massive casualties and it has definitely devastated yung city because of the immediate explosion. It is known to have caused an estimate of 140,000 deaths by the end of 1945. And yung mga na-expose pero nakasurvive, kita nyo naman dito sa pictures, 'di ba? Parang kung ikaw yan, gusto mo pa rin bang makasurvive? Parang more than this, physical deformations, 'di ba? You'll know na kung sakaling gusto mo man magkaanak, kung ikay single by that time at na-expose ka, anong mangyayari? Malaki yung chance na magkaroon ka ng anak na may sakit genetically. It's very, very saddening. Like sa case nung sa Chernobyl, okay, tumaas din of course yung rates of cancer dito. Okay? And majority of the survivors also experienced or suffered from chronic diseases because of this one as well. I saw one documentary as well of a survivor. Parang during that time, ano yata siya, bata pa yata siya nun. Pero nung sa documentary na napanood ko, medyo matanda na siya. Um, Fortunately, hindi naabot yung lugar nila mismo nung mismong, alam mo yun, coverage nung explosion. But yung impact, ramdam daw nila as if like there's an earthquake and all. Tapos parang malakas na hangin. And then it's very surprising daw kasi parang pagkagising niya, pagtingin niya na lang, parang halos makalbo na siya kasi nalalagas na yung buhok niya. Nahuhulog na lang sa unan niya. That is because yung hairs kasi natin, no, on a biological standpoint, yung mga buhok natin, kaya pag nagki-chemotherapy, 'di ba radiation therapy pa rin 'yan. Ang nakakalbo, nawawalan ng kilay and stuff. Kasi yung cells ng buhok natin, sila yung hindi naman sa maliit or short yung lifespan, pero sila yung pinaka vulnerable na mamatay agad kapag na-expose sila sa radiation. Kaya, yun, katulad din nung sa na-experience ng napanood ko sa documentary, nagkandalagas-lagas yung buhok niya because of that. So that. But, like, again, no, kung titignan natin yung mga pictures, it's quite excruciating just to see the pictures and the physical deformities, like the burnt victims and all. But more than that, to know that the environment is also going to get affected. Kasi hindi lang naman tao yung mamamatay dyan eh. Yung puno, yung mga halaman, yung mga animals within the area. And after that, the aftermath will make everything radioactive, no? And will continue to emit radiation. Katulad ng sa Chernobyl up until today. Kaya bawal, no? No man zone ang Chernobyl right now. It's like a ghost town. Kasi nga, nag-emit pa rin ng radiation yung mga bagay doon. Even the living plants and trees in there. So kung yung sa Chernobyl is human error, yung sa Hiroshima and Nagasaki, intentional. Etong another one, ito ay latest lang. If I'm not mistaken, 2011 lang ata ito. 2011? 2012? or baka mas ano pa later, yung sa Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Plant. Okay? Though good thing, common naman yun eh. Yung mga nuclear power plant, if I'm not mistaken, they're intentionally created on areas near bodies of water to regulate the temperature. Kailangan talaga yun. What happened is that dahil nagkaroon ng earthquake no sa Japan, which we all know Japan is really prone to earthquake kasi nga katulad ng Philippines, it's within the Pacific Ring of Fire. Um After the Great East Japan earthquake, what happened is that the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant experienced a nuclear meltdown. Okay? Kumbaga, ano siya, naapektuhan yung power plant dahil dun sa earthquake. So, ano nangyari? It is known na nagkaroon din ng nuclear leak because of this one. Pero parang unlike sa Chernobyl, nagawa naman nila din to ng paraan. But the thing in here is that parang recent lang din, ngayong year ata ito. Ngayong year ba? Or like late 2023. Parang, ano eh, they try to contain, they try to contain yung wastewater, no? Dito sa Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Plant that they use para ma-manage yung meltdown. Pero it is known na wala na silang mapaglagyan, no? Just correct me if I'm wrong, no? You can provide additional information about this one to clarify it, but that's like what I can still recall as of the moment. But ayun. Um sa pagkakatanda ko, dahil nga wala na silang mapaglagyan, wala nang reservoir for the wastewater related or used for this one, what happened is parang unti-unti na yata nilang ni-release, no? Itong wastewater na ito sa Pacific Ocean, no? And what happened is, ayun, of course, this caused some tension, especially for those um people who are not confident with the quality of the wastewater that has been used in this nuclear power plant and its possible implication sa natural environment. So, 'di ba dito rin natin makikita na if we go for a nuclear power plant, are we ready? Dito papasok yung ano eh, parang recent, 'di ba, our current administration would like to kumaga reactivate yung nuclear power plant sa Bataan. So, should there be natural phenomena like in this case, earthquake, are we ready? Are we capable to manage possible nuclear fallouts like that of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant fallout? So that is one thing that we should take note as well. Because like, hello, technically it's Japan already. And we all know Japan is very advanced when it comes to technology. But that doesn't save them from experiencing this kind of dilemma. So how about us here in the Philippines? So, aside from that, katulad ng minention ko kanina, yung about sa plastics, no? I don't know if you're familiar of this one, but there's this thing called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Sorry. This is within the Northern Pacific Ocean. Okay? Ma'am, ano nangyayari diyan? Tingnan niyo namang mabuti. Akala mo island, 'di ba? Pero it's actually made up of plastics that comes from different places at sila ay nag-ipon-ipon na diyaan. Okay? This Great Pacific Garbage Patch is actually known to contain the highest level of decomposed plastic on Earth. Okay? And, ma'am, bakit sila nag-ipon dyan? Again, we all know that the decomposition of plastics is very, very slow. No? Kaya it's one of the greatest pollutants that we can see saan? Sa bodies of water, including oceans. And it is known that these already have killed hundred thousands of marine animals already. And much worse is that it has already entered what? Our food chain. Ma'am, in what way? Kasi yung mga marine animals na kinukonsume din natin for food like fishes, they also are accumulating or consuming this. Ma'am, papaano? Kasi nagkakaroon po tayo ng production of microplastic from the decomposing plastics na nasa oceans natin. And ano nangyayari? Nakakain yung microplastics ng mga fishes, tas nakakain natin yung mga fishes. So, you know what happens already. Ma'am, paano naman umabot sa point na nagkaroon ng parang patch or ng island dyan po sa Northern Pacific Ocean? Eto, I have shown you this particular illustration here kasi alam naman natin na if winds um, has different directions, no? Same goes with waves, with water. So, meron tayong tinatawag na convergence zone dito sa area na ito ng North Pacific Ocean. Yung arrows tells us what? Yung circulation ng tinatawag nating gyre, okay? Or wind. Mga trade winds yan from different parts of the globe. So, kumbaga, it has it's like the perfect location for the convergence zone. And because of the convergence of different trade winds, coming from different parts like in Japan, Philippines, in the like in the Alaska, California, then we have the equatorial countercurrent. So that's making the loop, no? That's making the convergence zone a perfect area for accumulation of plastics. Okay, from different areas. So, when it comes to petroleum-based fertilizers, dito pumapasok yung algal bloom na tinatawag or eutrophication. Ma'am, anong nangyayari? Ganito lang po yan, class, no? Kapag gumamit tayo ng mga petroleum-based fertilizer, mataas yung nitrogen at phosphorus niyan. Walang problema doon, no? Kasi kailangan ng mga halaman ng nitrogen, phosphorus at potassium. Tama ba? NKP. Yun. Pero, ang problema lang yan, class, kapag yun yung or petroleum-based yung fertilizer na gamit natin, ang feed lang natin is yung plant, but not what? Not the soil, no? The ideal thing kasi is to feed the soil so that the soil is the one who's going to feed the plants. So what will happen? Yung mga excess, no, na nitong petroleum-based fertilizer, saan napupunta? Napopollute nila yung soil and the soil leaches out kapag sobrang dami na, no, nung kumbaga, um, excess amount of fertilizer, pupunta yan sa mga nearby rivers and bodies of water. Tapos ano mangyayari, tataas na yung nitrogen and phosphorus doon sa mga nearby bodies of water. Because of that, yan naman yung favorite ng alin? Ng algae. Okay? So dahil ang dami ng phosphorus at nitrogen, dadami yung mga algae or yung, yes, algae. And that's going to result into algal bloom. So, algal bloom uses oxygen as well. So, ano mangyayari? Madideplete naman nila ngayon yung oxygen dun sa body of water na yun. And because of low oxygen level, anong mangyayari? Mamamatay yung mga animals, marine animals within it. Okay. Not to mention, nako-cover ng algal bloom yung surface, so less sunlight can penetrate the water. That also adds up to the factor that may lead to what? Sa pagkamatay ng mga isda. Pag namatay yung mga isda, mag-float lang din sila sa surface at madidecompose sila doon. So, resulting into the foul smell of water and turbidity or cloudedness. So, kumbaga parang domino effect na siya. No? So, it's until it can no longer support life forms. So, eutrophication is like the phenomena leading to algal bloom. Eutrophication is the increase in the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus or nutrients, no, for algae to thrive. Okay? So, hindi rin pala okay na sobrang dami ng nutrition. Lalong-lalo na kung ganito yung mga scenario. Okay? And lastly is habitat destruction. So I've shown you here May 2011, August 2011, and December 2011. So meron tayong nakalagay dyan na may margin dyan na green. That's like the boundary. Yung white is yung area within the boundary na na-convert into bare land, no? And then lastly, within a span of just couple of months, ano na nangyari? Marami nang na-destroy na area. Habitat destruction is a result of land alteration, deforestation, and some agricultural practices. And all of these contributes to global warming. I am not going to explain global warming anymore because I've mentioned this one already just a while ago. The thing in here is that it is clear that the effects of technology on humans, and more importantly, in our environment where we live, can either be positive or negative. And unfortunately, I've just shown you how negatively human beings can affect our environment. No, so my forward here is that I believe it is high time that we start to find, yung balance between advancement and conservation, between technological development and environmental protection. Kasi anong silbi nung advance yung technology natin kung nabibilang na lang yung araw natin dito sa mundo, 'di ba? We can only achieve this balance through what? Through attempting to find sustainable solutions to our problem. Minsan hindi natin kailangan na mag-focus sa convenience. Mas kailangan nating mag-focus doon sa sustainability ng ating solution sa mga problema na meron tayo. Yun kasi yung mahirap sa atin, no? Because it inconvenience us, no? Inconvenience us. It's inconvenient. I think that's way better, no? Because it is inconvenient, even if um it's more environment friendly, we do not go for it, 'di ba? Or sometimes um we prioritize the economic gains more than the effects, no, of the economically favorable solution kesa sa environment, um like integrity, kaya mas pinipili natin yung mga ganun. But again, sustainability is one key thing that we can go for. This way, we can meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. And I believe that the only way humanity can survive is that if our environment can also thrive as well. That's it for our discussion, and I hope you learned something new today. Once again, this is Miss De La Torre, and thank you for watching and listening. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.